we're going to get into our series of being a friend of God, becoming a friend of God. It's about relationship, and it's I think you're going to have an enjoyable experience today because I'm going to use some of the characters of God to show you how to, quote unquote, keep it real with God. You see, for so long we've thought this perception of God that we have to walk this way, talk this way, and God wants us to tremble with fear and trembling. But what that means is it's not that we don't have a relationship. It just means that we're reverent in our relationship. We're not disrespectful in our relationship. We're not familiar with God in our relationship. It doesn't mean you see God and you, God, I can't talk to you, and you're just so broken. That's not what God wants. So I have to go through the Bible to give you an example of men and women that have relationships with God. So you can know what God is wanting today. Because whatever we've been taught all our life, it's been a lie. Man has set up institutions and indoctrination and principles and instructions on how we get to enter into God. So before Christ came, there was a relationship with God. And then after Christ came, there was a direct relationship with God. Requiring you to do nothing but to open your hearts and talk to him. That's it. You ain't got to go to no priest. You ain't got to say anything. You just got to open up your heart and open up your mind and believe that he is, and talk to him. And in that, God will begin to transform you. He'll begin to throw away all the dirty weeds in your life. He'll begin to transform your condition of your mind. He'll renew your spirit. Matter of fact, I'm going to read you a scripture where it says that when you do that, that Christ and God will come to you and make a home with you, and make an abode with you, and establish covenant with you. Christ and God. We would open up with a promise. Now, some promises will be long, some promises will be short, but it is food. Doesn't matter. It's the word of God. And what you do with a promise is you take it and you store it. You take it and you store it. You write it down so you'll know where it's at. So in that particular circumstance, you need that promise of God to be fulfilled. That's your prayer. And you pray God's promise back to him. You say, God, you said. Absolutely. Start every sentence then when you quote God on the promise. God, you said. As soon as you say that, God goes, Somebody's calling my promise. Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Jesus, where you at? Who is that? Well, that's mine, God. Get it, take care of it right now. I'm not a man that I should lie. My promises are yes and amen. But some of you guys don't believe it, so you can't receive it. Okay, here it goes. Psalms 29:11. It's a promise of strength. Okay? And there's all kinds of promises for different ones. So if there's a different one that I'm going to give you that still goes with strength or courage, whatever, or healing, or provisions, or believing, or deliverance, you just store it. Okay? But in Psalms 29:11 says, the Lord gives his people strength. Who are his people? Those that are called a friend of God. Just because you black Mexican don't mean you his people. Chinese, white, that don't make you God's people. God's people is those that call themselves a friend of God. Those that know God. Those that have a relationship with God. Those that partake of God. Those that are in God. Don't be ever quoting promises and you have no intentions of even talking to God. You just went to church. Now you think you can quote a promise to God. It's your life. Draw near to God, he'll draw near to you. Once you draw near to God, you can call him out on his promises. His promises are for those that have faith that he is. And it says the Lord blesses them with peace. So after he gives you strength, he gives you the peace to understand that even right now you may be at a low time. But you need to hold on. So he gives you peace of mind that strength is coming. That strength is received. And he wants you to gravitate with that peace of not being anxious to understand that this promise is true. And then you just believe in it. And you say, God, I thank you that you've given me strength because I am your people. See, the key to this promise is his people. All right? Psalms 29 and 11. We're going to pick right up where I left off at, becoming a friend of God. We talked about the three things that is required to become a friend of God is desire, time, and energy. And so we had to stop because time was running out. So I'm going to end up finishing that and going to the next phrase. Becoming a friend of God, part 2. There's three other things that come after you display desire, time, and energy. And we went over those things, so I don't want to go over them again. But there's three other things. See, desire, time, and energy is just you turning your mind to give God your desire, your time, and your energy. It's like the first baby steps in becoming a friend of God. You have to first change your mindset and desire God. Just like you desire a car and a house and nice things and a good job, you have to actually desire God with the same amount of energy, with the same amount of strength, with the same amount of time. You put more time into thinking and becoming something else that takes you from God than becoming into God, than becoming like God. You see, we got to add up our work. We got to add up our joys and hobbies. We got to add up our play time. And then what time do you give to God? But yet you want to be called a friend of God. Make no mistake that the people in the Bible that was able to be called a friend of God gave God their time over everything. Their desire was God first. Everything next. Now, does that mean you quit your job? No. That means you find a balance. Does that mean you can't play PlayStation? No. That means you find a balance. Does that mean you can't have a hobby? No. That means you find a balance. But if you find that the more you desire God and you find that you're not getting close to God, then you have to look at how much time and how much energy are you giving to God, because you need all three. You can desire all you want, but if you don't give the time or energy, your desire will never be met. And I'm going to prove it to you. All those that ever achieved anything that you desired in your life, you had to put time in it to make it come to fruition, right? God's no different. God's no different. But we just do this with God. You're over there, God. And I'm right here. And we just can't relate. Because my desires are not your desires. My desire is XYZ right now. But why don't you try bringing God into that X, into that Y, and into that Z, and see what it looks like. Bring him into your activities. Bring him into your playtime. Bring him into your creativity. He wants to be, listen, he just don't want to talk to you when you're in trouble. Or you need something. Are you struggling? He want to talk to you when you ain't even thinking about it. That's what proves to him more that you love him. But we just use God like a Santa Claus. Make a wish foundation. Listen, if you want a deeper and more intimate connection, I said connection. Remember I preached about a year ago how we are conduit hardwired into God. They studied the condition of the human and they have come to a conclusion, not religious people, educated scientists, that somehow, some way, every human is spiritually connected to God. And so when I was preaching it, I was trying to describe you have a conduit wire to God. It's a hard wire for protection. It's always connected to God, even when you're away. But you have to turn on the light switch to generate the power. to energize that connection. That turning on the light switch is becoming a friend of God's. God made it through our DNA that we are connected spiritually to something. That's why we can have fame and fortune and we still lack that fulfillment. You can have multiple women and multiple men and you still lack that feeling. You can have everything, so we go to drugs and we go to addictions because we're trying to fulfill that hard-coded requirement. Well, I got news for you. The only thing that can fill that is a relationship with God. So when you think about Whitney and Michael and Ledger and Belushi and all the people that take their lives, they have no connection to God. But if you want a deeper and more intimate, the word intimate, I'm talking about intimacy with God, you must learn to honestly share your feelings with Him. That's number one. You have to honestly share your feelings. Don't come to God in your quiet time and not be honest with Him. Who you think you're fooling? Don't let the word say, God, make me a better person, and as you praying that, you have no desire to become a better person. Your mind's already thinking of things you want to do that makes you not being a better person. You should pray, God, I struggle to be a better person. Deal with my X, Y, Z. Deal with my dirty laundry. But we all got dirty laundry. That's why you gotta wash it. Number two, you have to learn. These are things you gotta learn now. You gotta learn to be honest with God. You gotta learn to care about what God cares about and desire His friendship more than anything else. You see, 1 Peter 5:7, Peter says, give all your worries, all your cares to God. And then the key statement is that because He cares about you. You see, God wants you to care about what He cares about because He cares about you. It's not a give and take, it's what He wants. He wants you to not worry. He wants you to not have cares. He wants you to give those cares to Him. That's why the Bible says, cast thy cares upon God, the same scripture in the King James, for He cared for you. Give all your worries and cares to God, for He cares for you. And in that, you will do what Romans 5 says. You will have a relationship. So now we can read Romans 5:11. So now we can rejoice in our wonderful new, not old, new relationship with God because of our Lord Jesus Christ has made us friends of God. See, it's through Christ that we can even become friends with God. But to become friends of God, you have to be totally honest about your feelings. To become a friend of God, you have to cast your cares upon God and give your cares and worries to God. And then you have to care about what God cares about. You know why God wants you to care about what He cares about? So He can use you in His ministry. All God cares about is bringing souls unto salvation. All God cares about is taking as many people from the devil as He can so you can be in paradise with Him. That's all God cares about. And in the middle of that, yes, He has to provide. Yes, you have to eat. Yes, you have to have shelter. Yes, you have to have a place. That's provisions. Don't get provisions mixed up with cares. God cares about one thing and one thing only: relationship with His humans. And in that, the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added. That's it. We come to God first. God, what you gonna do for me?
Go ahead.
God, you need to fix this.
Go ahead.
God, you need to fix my husband because I can't serve you without you fixing him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lord. You need to fix my disrespectful kids too. Because they interfere with my relationship with you. God make them worse, your husband and your kids. And we call that a test and a trial, and then you fail. Lord, Lord, I need you. And he goes, yes, yes, finally. You actually came to me with the condition of your heart, not the desires of your mind. So now I'm able to go fix your problem. You mean that's what's been wrong all this time, Pastor Mike? Uh-huh. You ain't been broken yet of your stinking self. Jesus said, don't be worried about the speck in your brother's eyes when you got a beam in yours. What that means is fix yourself first before you start looking at other people's relationship. That happens all the time in the church, and I gotta just slap you with the word. I love that scripture. Don't worry, you guys can use it anytime you want. Especially when your wife trying to tell you not to do something that she do. You ask me, do you got the speck or the beam? Because either way, you both got something in your eye. Some require that little, and it blows out. And some requires open eye surgery with a chisel and a hammer. Tink, 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 tink. There. You see better now? And then the other thing we gotta learn, we gotta have the three elements, which is desire, time, and energy. But then you got to learn something with that desire, time, and energy. So what do you gotta learn with that desire, time, and energy? Is you gotta learn how to be completely honest. You gotta learn how to care what God cares about. And then you gotta learn to trust Him. Yes. OMG, are you serious? Yeah. But when we trust Him, that means we're gonna do what He asks us to do. That means we're gonna trust Him if He says to go over here and do 2 backflips and sit in the corner for 2 days and watch me come through. Well, what am I gonna eat? Don't worry about food and eat. Somebody will throw you something at the car. Will you trust Him? God will ask you to do some of the craziest things to see if you will. What did Jesus tell that man? To go dip himself in the nasty water 7 times. Lord, that water's nasty. Couldn't we go to a much nicer place? What did He do to the blind man? He took clay and spit it and put it in and told him to go rinse his eyes out. Trust God. Trust God. How much do you trust God? Do you trust Him with your time and your energy and desires? Do you trust Him enough to be completely honest with Him and not fake or phony in your prayer? Do you trust Him enough to learn what He cares about? To desire a friendship more than anything else? He grows you up into a solid man and woman of God. Fearless and bold and confident and able to move those mountains. That's what happens when we give ourselves to God. When we become completely honest with Him. And when we learn to care about what He cares about. And when we trust Him. Jesus says this in John 14:23. And I like this in the English Standard Version. Jesus answered him. He says, if anyone loves me, if anyone loves me, if anyone loves me, if anyone loves me, and keeps my words, in other words, trust and obey Him, and my Father's words, Yahweh, Elohim, our Father, Adonai, and will love Him. He says we, meaning God and Jesus, will come to him and make our home with him. In the King James Version, it says, and make abode with him. Abode means a place or a residence in a house or home. But the definition of home is a place where one lives permanently. If anybody loves you, if you love God, and you love Jesus, they will both come and they will make a pact. They will make a home with you, a permanent place. I want God for the rest of my days to be a permanent home for me. I want to learn to be honest. I want to learn to care about what he cares about. I want to learn to trust him. I want to give him time. I want to give him energy. And I want to give him desire. Because I want to become a friend of God's. I can't even begin to tell you the feeling of being right with God. I can't even explain the energy he gives you back to minister, to come here every Sunday with a word. Not being a bump in the log pastor, but stirring you, feeding you, encouraging you with passion. Because I love you. And yet, I'm still learning to trust him. I'm still learning to care about what he cares about. I'm still learning to give him more time, more desire, more energy. I'm in this with you. But one thing that I have determined to do is to please him and what I want. If he was to tell me tomorrow, go give up your job and become full-time and grow this church and trust me, I'd have to do it. Because I trust him. It may not feel right. I may not think it's right. I may be looking at the bills adding up. I may be looking at I need a new car. I may be saying, Lord, how, where, when, and why. I got kids. I got things that depend on me. But I got to trust them. Because I'm doing something in him. I'm not going off to do something that ain't with him. If anybody loves me, he keeps my commandments, me and my Father will come and make a home with him. If anybody loves me and keeps my commandments, me and my Father will come and make a home, a abode, a permanent place for you to live with you. Well, Jesus, I'm still going to struggle. Yes! I'm still going to be tempted. Yes! I'm still going to go through. Yes, yes, yes! Nothing else is going to change. What's going to change is what did I open up with? God will give his people strength and they will have a peace in the midst of your trial, in the midst of your adversity, in the midst of your shortcomings, in the midst of your fear. Relationship with God more than my whole life. What do you want? What does an honest friendship with God looks like? Well, to be honest with God, you have to share your faults. Faults. Huh? I don't want to have sex with that woman. She has such a juicy booty. I look at it every time. Oh, and Ben is so handsome. He's got those big pecs. That shiny bald head turns me on. But he's married to Vicky. She looked mean too. beat me up. I better not look at men so much in church. To be honest with God, you have to share your faults and your true feelings. Here's for Friday. Lord, I hate my husband. He pisses me off. How dare him and his boss talk about my commitment to my family. Didn't talk to me for a whole day. That's right. That was a true feeling. It wasn't permanent. But see, she had to get that to God. When I met with her and point my finger all over her and put my cold feet on her, she's breaking. When I cuddle with her and put my arm around her, she's melting. And by Sunday, she's back to being a passerby. See how that works? But she shares her true feelings. Oh, she hated me. She didn't talk to me. It's not like real hate. She hated what I said. And baby, you know I love you. With all my heart. Look at me being transparent. You know why? Because I'm being honest. I can't have an honest relationship with God and not have an honest relationship with my sheep, with my people that God entrusts me with. That's how you learn how to be honest, because of my example. So you ain't got no excuse now. To be honest with God, you have to share your faults, and your true feelings. That means your shortcomings and your real feelings all the time. Why are you trying to suppress your lust in front of God when it's you and Him? Let it all out and say, God, take it. God, take a little bit of it, leave the rest for me. Because I like that wandering eye. Look at that, look at that, look at that. I'm being honest. I'm being honest. But some of y'all can't be honest because you're crooked. You're fake and you're phony and you're fraud. You're fake and a phony and a fraud. Get real. A fake and a phony and a fraud is not going to be called a friend of God's. David had a woman's husband killed to get some booty. Let's just go to the new version, 2016. That's what it is. Thus David sinned and committed, and thus he sent her Bathsheba's men to the front line. I ain't talking about that. David had a woman's husband, a loyal servant, killed for some booty. But David was a man after God's own heart. Oh, David grieved for that. But David, who should have been a friend of God at that time that he sinned, if he would have had a true relationship with God, he would have gave that to God. He would have said, God, I lust after her. And I'm thinking some medieval stuff, God. I'm thinking about having her husband smoked, God, so I can go marry the widow. But no, he tried to hide his sin from God. And God brought down judgment. As you David looked at his life, and you go and read all the Psalms after, he was always thinking, if I just would have been that man after God's own heart, I would never brought this curse upon myself. Sometimes you can bring a curse upon yourself because you're a fake and a fraud and a phony when it's time to be intimate and close to God. When it's just you and Him. That's why I'm trying to teach you to have a relationship. In the last days, when everything is topsy-turvy, only those that have a relationship with God will not fall for the Antichrist, will not fall for temptation and sin. God will only sustain those that know Him. He said in His promise that He gives strength to His people. And if you ain't one of His, then you're one of theirs. But you can't serve two masters. your loved one, or hate the other. God doesn't expect for you to be perfect. Ooh, I didn't want to leave that out. I had to go back. God doesn't expect for you to be perfect, Ryan. Okay? God doesn't expect for you to be perfect, Johnny, Ben, Daniel. I ain't perfect. Pissed my wife off. She wanted to kill me. I was like, Lord, don't let her cut me in my sleep. But it's so good to know that we have joy in talking about being a friend of God. We keep it at 100. You won't get this kind of preaching at them other places. No, they'll box it all up nice and pretty with the proper words, the proper etiquette, the proper delivery. And the same way you went in, that's the way you're going to come out. I'm giving you some food for thought. The way you really think in 2016. Not the way the cemetery taught me how to present it. That's for those that went to got a degree to preach. Ain't that something? That's what we call it, the cemetery. You're ready to become dead. Okay? Jesus didn't send nobody, not the 70, not the 12, and Peter, not the 3,000, to the cemetery school. He blessed them, equipped them with the anointing of the Holy Spirit, and said, go! And they did more than anybody's ever done in this world today. 2 miracles was popping off. When's the last time we seen a miracle besides here? That's right. You don't find them no more. They still scare us. But guess what? More is coming, because Joel 2 and 12 to 32 says God's going to pour out His Spirit on all flesh. But that's a whole other promise. I'm saving that one for a juicy moment. Okay? But He insists that you be completely honest. He knows that you're not going to be perfect. None of God's friends in the Bible was perfect. If perfection was a requirement to be a friend of God, then none of us would be a friend of God. So don't worry. Bring your laundry. Bring your dirt. Bring your faults and your filth and everything to God. You remember, you are His people. You got to talk to God. You have given your life to Christ, and now it's a walk, because Christ says that everybody that lives for God will struggle, will go through torments and adversity and persecution. But He says to be of good cheer. Be of good cheer, because I've overcome those things. So I'm telling you, you're going to go through them. Don't run. Don't become a fake. Don't become a fraud. Keep it real. And me and my Father will come to you and make a home with you. Now some of y'all, wait, I don't get a real house? No, dummies, listen. A spiritual home. That don't matter if you're in the projects or Beverly Hills. That home is with you. It's built inside of you, okay? It's in here. Because of God's amazing grace, Jesus was a friend of the sinners. In Matthew 11:19, it says that He was drinking and eating and partying and having banquets. John the Baptist didn't do any of that. But Jesus did all that, and He did it with who? He did it with the filthy sinners. They said the tax collectors. To be a tax collector, you was evil. And sinners, the prostitutes and the pimps and the drug dealers and the hustlers. Jesus ate with them, and people judged Him from it, because Jesus wasn't looking for you to be perfect. He says, I didn't come to save that which was saved. I came to save that which was lost. And I'm going to be true to what I'm all about. So I'm going to eat with the murderers. I'm going to eat with the burglars. I'm going to eat with the prostitutes. I'm going to be the tax collector's going to be one of my disciples. Because I'm all about changing people's lives for the better. If anybody loves me and keeps my commandments, me and my Father will come and make a home with the burglar. We'll come and make a home with the tax collector. We'll come and make a home with the prostitute. We'll come and make a home with the sinner. I mean, dude, God is like the coolest dude ever. I mean, you know some cool cats, right? But ain't nobody as cool as Jesus. In the Bible, friends of God was like us. They were honest about their feelings. They often complain. How many of you complain? I've been complaining since day one. But guess what? I'm a friend of God because that's what friend of God do. They second guess God. God, did you say? Yeah. How many second guess God? So do I. They're argumentative. Well, God, why, God? Why? It's like your kid. Why? Because I said so. That's where we get that from. God told us the same thing. God, why? Because I said so. You see, to be a friend of God, you a true friend of God. God's friends was honest about his feelings. They complained. They second guessed. They were argumentative. They accused God. I accused God one day on my tongue. And God told me to shut my mouth. I was in my bubble bath, jacuzzi tub, on smoking pot. And I was praising God, singing my acapella, homemade, made-up songs. Just worship him. And right in my thoughts, the devil just jumped inside of me. Ask God why this and why that. And why all the people dying and why this, why that. So my praise went to complaining and accusing God. My hardest thing was I couldn't get over Romans 9. When God just outright blatantly told me that he hardened Pharaoh's heart. And I was like, God, I'm accusing you of setting it up, buddy. You could have changed him after the third plague. Why? I love you, God, but I need to know about them. He said, well, read a little more. And he said, I did this and I did that. And then he said, does the clay say to the potter, why you made me this way? He said, who are you but mist in my mouth, a vapor. And I said, okay, God, that's good enough for me. In the same chapter, I was accusing him of being unfair and unjust. And then I read further down, and he told me to shut my mouth, and I just kept on reading. The power of God is all the authority, all the ability, and all the strength to do as he please. Shut your mouth. We all, the creator of heaven and earth, the giver of life, we complain to him, we second guess him, we accuse him of being unjust. You know what? Don't sit here and try to think that you haven't. It's a real struggle to serve God. It is. Let's just be honest. But you gotta know that you know that you know that all of this is not in vain. Thank God for faith. Because without faith, it is impossible to serve God. You see, in all that we question God, if we're a friend of God, God don't have a problem with our frankness. Frankness is a quality of being open and honest. I suggest that you married couples go home and be more frank with each other. Be frank with each other. Ben, you pissed me off today. You waxed that car for $7 and left them eggs on the stove that I made for you. I ain't cooking your butt nothing ever again. JD, go eat the eggs.
She does cook, JD.
Be frank with each other. But God didn't mind us being frank with him. Matter of fact, he encourages it. Go to Genesis 18. We're going to close with this because every time I preach a part of the sermon, I'm going to give you an example. I really want you guys to get this. Is this going to be good series for you guys? And believe me, we got a lot to talk about. Don't think this just ends with one service. I want to set the stage for Abraham. He's our first opponent. Abraham, the father of faith. I think it's only fair we start with him, right? And he kind of had a relationship with God before we got to chapter 18. In chapter 12, he had the call where God told him to leave the land of your mother and father. And then he went on and left the land and he hooked up with Lot. And then him and Lot got so blessed and prosperous that they had to separate. During his travels, he had to lie about Sarah was his sister because he thought the Egyptians would rape her because she was so beautiful. Now, you got to remember, these people is in their 90s, still fine and sexy. I'm like, golly, I want to see that today, you know? With all the processed food we got, ain't nobody looking that good, okay? Then Abraham goes and rescues Lot. And then he sees Melchizedek, where we have controversy of the tithe, but because some said he didn't give it from his earnings, he gave it from his spoils of war. It doesn't matter. He earned that spoils of war by losing men and fighting, and he gave a tenth of what he saw. And then we go on to the promise in chapter 15, where God had to reiterate his promise, because we don't know how many years it was from the time he left his mom and dad's house to the time right now, and he still ain't had a son yet. That could have been 100 years, and he had to wait on God's promise. And so God came to him again and said, I'm still going to make you a great nation. Abraham said, well, you ain't even gave me a son. And then he goes on to get a son, but it's through Hagar, and it's not through the line of Christ, and Ishmael's born. Well, that's not the seed. And then he goes on to change his name from Abram to Abraham. And now, I set this up to show you that him and God had a relationship, one that they conversed constantly. And so God finally says, hey, Michael, Gabriel, let's go. So in chapter 18, it starts off with the three men appeared to Abraham and Sarah. And he blessed Sarah and told her that she was going to have a son. Well, then we go on to tell that God, as he begins to leave Abraham, because he came to, God personally came to Abraham with the two angels. So I imagine it was Michael and Gabriel. But he came and he spoke personally. But God came to do two things. He left his throne to come and tell Sarah, and then Sarah laughed. And he checked Abraham. Is that your woman laughing for? He went inside the tent. Abraham replied to one of them, he returned to you by next year, and Sarah should have a baby. And then he goes on in verse 15, he said, then the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh? Why did she say, can an old woman have a baby? Is there anything too hard for the Lord? That's God like checking his man about his woman. So God came and visited Abraham, and he said this. He told us, starting in verse 16, it says, then the man stood up from the mill and they looked towards Sodom. And as they left, Abraham went with them and sent them on their way. So they all four started walking towards Sodom. And then as they're walking, God tells the angels, he says, should I hide my plan from Abraham? The Lord asked. For Abraham will certainly become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed through him. I have singled him out so that he will direct his sons and his families to keep the way of the Lord, and by doing what is right and just. Righteousness. Right and just. Not do, did it say do what is holy? No, because God knew he couldn't do that. But what is right and just. That's what God requires for us. And then he says that, and then I will do for Abraham what I promised. See, if Abraham didn't have an authentic relationship with God and do what is right and just, God would not have kept his promise. So if you're going to have a relationship with God and you're going to do what's right and just, God will keep his promises with you. And then he goes on, and he says this, and so the Lord told Abraham, I have heard the great outcry of Sodom and Gomorrah. Because of their sins are so flagrant, I'm going down there to see their actions, to see if they're as wicked as I have heard. If not, because I want to know. You see, God had already got all the reports. But before he was about to cast judgment, he came down, him and two angels. He told Abraham what the deal was about Sarah. I haven't forgotten about you. I'm going to go down there and see if it's true, Abraham, because there's a great call. There's a great cry that this town is evil and wicked. And you guys keep reading and you know the story that they try to rape those angels. And so, but as it says here, and so the other men turned towards Sodom, but the Lord remained with Abraham. So God sent his two angels and he stayed with Abraham. Imagine God finding so much joy with you that he's just going to hang out with you.
Yes.
Man, what a friend of God. Just go ahead. You know what, Abraham, this is what I'm doing. I'm here on official business. But hey, let's give me some more of that wine. Sir, you got any more of them crumb cakes? Michael and Gabriel, go down there and check it out. Me and Abraham, we're going to kick it. Because this is my home. This is my home. A human being is God's home. You're God's home. Now watch what Abraham does. And then Abraham approached him and said this, will you sweep away both the righteous and the wicked? Suppose you find 50 righteous people living in the city. Will you still sweep them away and not spare for their sakes? God had already told Abraham, this is what I'm going to do. But before I do it, I'm going to go and check it out. And if it's true, this is what I'm going to do. And Abraham, already questioning God, already challenging God, because he's a friend of God, he's being honest about his feelings. He's being honest about how he feels. Well, God, I don't know. And so this is what he does. He asked God an open-ended question. And he said, surely you won't do such a thing. He's trying to hold God's sovereignty and omnipotent power over him and trying to control the situation, trying to manipulate what God is going to do. He's arguing with God. He's reasoning with God. He's being honest with God. And then he goes on to say, why, you would be treating the righteous and the wicked exactly the same, God. Exclamation mark. That means he's got a little Tony with it. And then, surely you won't do that. Explanation. Should not the judge of all the earth do what is right? Woo! Okay, let's just stop because I got goosebumps, okay? That's a friend. You see, when you're talking to your friend, girl, you're out your mind. You don't do that. You better get a restraining order first. Don't you just leave that fool like that. Okay? What do you mean? Nah, man, I can't do that. You're disagreeing with me. We disagree with everything. We disagree with our spouses, but we're close to them. And Abraham was outright disagreeing with God. Then he tried to flip the switch on God. Then he tried to control the conversation. But he was a friend of God. And let me finish with you. And then the Lord replied, if I find 50 righteous, he goes, I'd spare the entire city for their sake. And then Abraham's pushing it. He's pushing it. And then Abraham spoke again. He says, since I have begun, God. By the way, God, while we're having this open-ended conversation, let me tell you some more honesty, what I really want. Since I have begun, let me speak further to my Lord, even though I am but dust and ashes. Humility, but still honesty. Humility, but still honesty. You see how the relationship, I'm going to open you guys up to how God wants you to have a relationship with him, okay? And then he goes on to say this, he goes, I always keep losing my place, okay. Then Abraham pressed his request further. Suppose there are only 40. And the Lord replied, I will not destroy it for the sake of 40. And then here's Abraham again. Please don't be angry, my Lord. Abraham pleaded. Let me speak. Suppose only 30 righteous people are found. And then the Lord replied, now I know the Lord is about to strike him with lightning by now, but he's a friend. And God says, okay, I'm going to show you that I want to have intimacy with you. I want to have a relationship with you. And it's okay. I like your friendliness because I know your heart. See, you can't have this kind of relationship with God and not be obedient in the end. You can kick and scream and fuss and fight, but you need to obey at the end of the day. And so Abraham said, since I have dared now to speak to the Lord, let me continue. Suppose there's only 20. And the Lord replied, then I will not destroy it for the sake of 20. Finally, Abraham said, Lord, please don't be angry with me. But if I speak one more time, see, I imagine God's face was frowning up right now. And he was like, my patience will not always strive with men. Romans 9 wasn't even written yet, but God was already thinking it. Does the clay say to the potter? And then finally Abraham said, Lord, please don't be angry with me. But if I speak one more time, suppose there are only 10. And then the Lord replied, then I will not destroy for the sake of 10. And when the Lord had finished his conversation with Abraham, he went on his way, and Abraham returned to his tent. Stand up. You see, Abraham challenged and questioned God over and over again about Sodom. He was able to negotiate with God from 50 righteous people to 10. He was able to be very frank and very honest with God. It was not disrespect or disobedient. Let's get that clear. It was not disrespect or disobedient. He was using his friendship to ask God for mercy. Because he is a friend of God's. You see, the only way Abraham got to that point where he could talk to God is it started way in chapter 12. And now, him and God has been buddies for a while. Because Abraham was always honest with God from day one. I want you to go home and meditate on becoming a friend with God. I just gave you an example that it starts with learning to be completely honest about your faults, about your emotions. Abraham was completely honest with God in this text. Even where he challenged the omnipotent authority, the sovereign power of God. And he went back and forth like an auction. But he was able to negotiate with God for mercy, not for personal gain. Don't you ever go negotiate with God for your own personal gain. You're not going to be having a friendship then. Your friendship is complete honesty. Learning to trust, learning to care about what God cares about. And remember, if anybody loves me, loves me, and me and my Father will come and make a home together. And you're going to have a relationship with me. Guys, I want you to get out of this series one thing, to move closer to God, not by works, but by intimacy in your heart. Do you understand? Not by works, but by intimacy from your heart. Ain't God in question God? God is, are you displeased with my life? Yeah, he'll tell you. But be honest enough to say, you know what? I'm going to fix it. True story. When I left God after he gave me this great call, I walked home and I told him about, God, I know I'm not living right now. But if you ever call, I was 16. I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll come serve you. I said, please forgive me, but right now I'm just not going to serve you. And guess what? God called me at 21 and I quit my NFL career and went to serve God and lost everything. But I had my promise. I was a friend of God and I knew that God was not happy. But I was totally honest that night. And you know what? I asked God to send me a sign that he helped me. And he sent an angel to take my life. And then the priest called me and gave me a walk with all the passion. And what's so significant about that, guys, is that I was having that moment with Abraham. I was having an honest relationship and telling God honestly how I feel. And I said, I'm not going to play with you. I'm not going to be both things. I'm not going to come to church and fake the fun. I said, but right now, I'm not feeling it. But God, when I know for sure that you are calling me to go do this thing that this man prophesied when I was 11, I'll drop everything because there's nothing more important in my life than to do what you've called me to do. And thus, here I am. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the word today. We thank you for teaching us one step closer of how to become a friend of God. Father, that you would begin to open up our hearts and our understanding of what it means to become intimate with you. Father, that it's okay that we're frank with you. It's okay that we question you. It's okay that we ask you and we're concerned. And it's okay, Father, even if we disagree with you. It's okay. Because We're establishing that relationship with you. And Father, it's not okay to disobey you. So as being the son that said, why I gotta go to the field when my other brother says yes and he never shows up? But I always argue back with you. But yet I go and do what you've asked me to do. That's obedience. So Father, teach us how to obey, for obedience is better than sacrifice. Teach us how to become closer to you in a more intimate way. One, Father, that we can fully be ourselves in your presence, that we can fully know you and be away. So Father, we pray for relationship. We pray for growth and transparency. We pray for accountability unto you and our loved ones and the ones that you've entrusted us with. And we pray that this word will sit upon us and begin to draw us closer to becoming a friend of God's. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.